Commander Vrather had seen a lot in his 300 cycles of service. He'd watched stars explode, negotiated with hive minds that spoke in equations, even survived a dinner with the diplomats of Centauri Prime, which, honestly, was far more dangerous than it sounded. But nothing had prepared him for a human janitor. The day started normal enough. And that should have been his first warning. Normal days on a galactic peacekeeping station never stayed normal for long. Vrather was in his office, for eyes tracking multiple security feeds at once, a skill that had taken him 60 cycles to master and made him unbeatable at poker nights, Sir, Lieutenant Morris said, entering without knocking. Her scales were flushed purple. Bad news, or contraband again. We have a situation in Training Bay 7, she said. Define situation, Vrather said. Not looking up, the human is mopping. All four of Vrather's eyes snapped to her. During Calder's advanced combat training. Now that got his attention. The Keldrith Guard were no ordinary soldiers. Genetically bred for combat, trained in 17 martial disciplines before they could speak. They ate rocks. Literally. Their homeworld had triple gravity. Reflexes faster than most species could see. And someone was mopping in the middle of their session. Please tell me it's not Eddie, Fractor said. Already knowing the answer, Mora's scale shifted from purple to a dull gray. It's Eddie. Of course it's Eddie, Vrather muttered, rising from his desk. His joints creaked embarrassingly for someone who prided himself on perfect physical condition. Why would it be anyone else? Why would the universe give me one day without Eddie doing something insane? Eddie Martinez had been at the station exactly 47 days. In that short time, he had become the most bewildering and somehow most beloved person there. A janitor hired by bureaucratic error, yet he approached his job with a cheerful determination that bordered on psychotic, always smiling, always humming Earth songs, always showing up where no human should be, carrying his mop like it was a sacred artifact, totally fragile, utterly squishy, and yet somehow untouchable. Vrather, Mora, and Brother arrived at Training Bay 7. 12 Keldrith guards, each nearly 8 feet tall, clad in armor that could withstand plasma fire, were arranged in formation. Instructor Cross barked orders in a language that sounded like rocks in a garbage disposal. And there, right in the middle, was Eddie. Mop in hand, blue coveralls slightly dirty, name tag crooked, rubber shoes squeaking with every step. Hair messy, face smudged with something unidentifiable. Humming, calm, cheerful to Vrather's voice echoed. What are you doing? Eddie looked up with that impossible human smile. Oh, hey, Commander V. Just cleaning up. Someone spilled protein gel. Thought it could be a hazard. Vrather's 4 eyes narrowed. You're mopping during combat drills. Yeah, I noticed, Eddie said cheerfully. Pretty cool moves, by the way. That spinning thing, wild. Impressive. Instructor Cross went crimson. Will not leave. I'm almost done, Eddie said, completely missing the homicidal undertones. After Throck yielded, the circle didn't dissolve. If anything, it grew tighter. One guard stepped forward, then another, each curious or maybe arrogant, enough to test themselves against this impossible human. Guys, really, I don't want to fight, Eddie said, scratching the back of his head. His mop sat like a shield beside him. Challenge accepted, growled a massive Caldrath guard. Vrather sighed, slumping against the observation deck railing. Mora escaled nervously. This is going to be a very long day. The guards attacked in sequence. 12 elite warriors in full armor. Every punch, every kick calculated and deadly. Eddie moved like he had no training. Shuffling, pivoting awkwardly, dodging strikes, as if he were navigating a messy floor rather than dodging death blows. Punches missed. Kicks sailed by. Grabs failed, how? Brother muttered. This isn't possible. Eddie didn't fight. He redirected energy. Used momentum. A grab became a twist. A lunge became a sidestep. Every move mirrored motions perfected through months of mopping. One guard reached for him, and Eddie twisted his wrist like wringing a mop. The guard flipped, slammed into the floor. Whoa, are you okay? Eddie asked politely, stepping over him. The guard's jaws dropped. Their precision-trained attacks nullified by someone with no combat training. Only janitorial muscle memory. Round after round, the same thing happened. 12 guards, 12 defeats. Not through skill, not through strength, but efficiency, awareness, and pure, ridiculous luck. Every guard watched in stunned silence. Eddie moved like a man who had spent thousands of hours navigating tight hallways, avoiding spills, wringing out mops, and cleaning messes no one else wanted to touch. Be why the last guard. Even Instructor Cross was pale. He had fought pirates, defended stations, survived wars, and now this human had conquered his best warriors using mop-based techniques. Eddie panted, finally picking up his mop. Okay, yeah, that's a workout. You guys are amazing. I'm going to feel this tomorrow. He went back to mopping the corner he had started with, like nothing had happened. Silence hung in the training bay. Then Throck, still staring at the ceiling, whispered, "What just happened?" "I have no idea," Cross admitted. Vrather rubbed his temples. "This is going to be a very long assignment." Word spread like wildfire through the station. Eddie Martinez, human janitor, defeated 12 elite Caldrath guards. The betting pool's already paid out. News outlets clamored. The station administrator wanted a report. Diplomats demanded answers. And Vrather? He had questions, but no one had answers. "Please tell me you're not about to challenge him." Vrather muttered to Mora, his eyes scanning the guards. But it was too late. One of the younger Keldrith, Throck, had stepped forward. He was eager, brash, convinced his combat training made him unstoppable. The human disrespects the Caldrath guard. Throck roared. Eddie blinked, tilting his head. I'm just cleaning. No offense, really. You're all amazing, honestly. Respect nothing. Weak. Soft. Creature of no consequence." Throck snarled, his fists clenched. Eddie raised his hands. "Look, I really don't want trouble. Just mopping. That's it." "You refuse to fight?" Throck demanded. "I'm not a coward," Eddie said calmly, for the first time sounding tired. "I just don't see the point in fighting someone over a floor." "Then you admit weakness," Throck shouted. Vrather closed his eyes behind his visor. "Oh no, this is happening." "All right," Eddie sighed. "Fine. But just so you know, I'm not trained for combat. I'm probably going to look like an idiot." "You already look like an idiot," Throck shot back. Eddie nodded solemnly. "Fair point." The other guards began forming a circle, tradition when honor was challenged. Even Instructor Cross, veteran of the border wars, didn't intervene. Something had clearly piqued his curiosity. Eddie set his mop aside with reverence, cracked his knuckles loudly, and asked, "So, how does this work?" "First to tap out. First blood. Death match," Cross said quickly, not wanting to waste time. Cool. Bow or shake hands or anything?" Eddie asked. Throck didn't answer. He lunged out lightning-fast strikes. Perfect form. Unmatched precision. Eddie shuffled awkwardly to the side. Not graceful. Not trained. Just dodging. "Whoa," he said. "That was close." Punches, kicks, elbows, knees, everything Throck had trained for missed. Eddie moved like he was avoiding puddles, weaving through attacks with bizarre, yet effective, efficiency. The guards murmured. Impossible. Throck was one of their best. How was this human dodging everything? Then Throck, frustrated, abandoned technique for raw force. He grabbed Eddie, trying to overwhelm him with sheer strength. Eddie grabbed Throck's wrist. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Eddie twisted, not with combat skill, but with the exact motion used to wring out a mop. Throck flipped through the air, landing flat on his back with a sound like a gong. Silence. Eddie leaned down. "You okay?" "Need ice." Throck stared, speechless. He had never been defeated like this, by a janitor. "Fine," Throck whispered. "I yield." And just like that, the impossible human had won. 3 hours later, Vrather found himself in Conference Room Alpha. 12 stern Caldrath officials, Instructor Cross, and Eddie, who had been dragged from his shift mid-mop, still holding his cleaning cart. I don't understand," Eddie said, looking around nervously. "Am I in trouble? I tried to leave the training bay. I really did. But then there was the challenge, and well, it kind of escalated." The head of the council, GRA, an ancient warrior with more scars than skin, stared at him with the intensity of a supernova. "You defeated 12 of our guards," GRA said. "Sort of, they kind of defeated themselves?" Eddie mumbled, I just happened to be there. Humility, GRA observed, almost impressed. Unusual for a warrior of your caliber. I'm not a warrior, Eddie said. I'm a janitor. I clean things. Mostly floors. Sometimes windows. Once I cleaned the waste recycling system, but mostly floors. Your fighting style, a council member asked, is derived from cleaning? Eddie shrugged. Well, yeah. When you mop, you're always aware of the environment. Where wet spots are. How to move efficiently. Balance. Timing. Leverage. Sound familiar? The council members leaned forward. GRA smiled. You have returned us to our roots. Our ancestors trained with tools of daily life, farming implements, hunting gear. You have done the same, unknowingly mastering efficiency through mopping. Eddie blinked. I just clean floors, guys. And in doing so, you have achieved mastery, Grexer said solemnly. Silence filled the room. Eddie's eyes widened as the council deliberated. Finally, GRA spoke. Eddie Martinez of Earth, we wish to offer you a position as combat instructor for the Caldrath Guard. Wait, what? Eddie asked. Like a job? I already have a job. It says so on my name tag. Yes, GRA continued. You defeated our warriors using techniques we cannot comprehend. We wish to learn from you. Learn from me? About mopping, Eddie said, voice rising. Not just mopping, Cross interjected. Your movements are efficient, economical, without wasted motion. That is combat philosophy. That is brilliance. Eddie looked at Vrather, pleading, Commander, help. Vrather sighed. He had been in the galaxy long enough to know, when warrior aliens want you, you give in. Probably safer that way. Fine, Eddie slumped. Okay, I'll teach your guards how to fight like a janitor. The Caldrath erupted in what could only be described as applause. Rocks thrown into a cement mixer, if you will. GRA clasped Eddie's hand painfully. You honor us, Instructor Martinez. Eddie is fine, he said, wincing. And just like that, the human janitor became a legendary combat instructor. The next day, Training Base 7 was packed. Not 12 guards this time, but nearly 40. Every elite Caldrath warrior who had witnessed or heard of Eddie's mop-based victories wanted a piece of the action. Eddie stood in the center, mop in hand, coveralls slightly wrinkled, rubber shoes squeaking on the metal floor. Okay, he said, voice echoing across the bay. Welcome to Mopping 101. First lesson, fundamentals. The guards blinked. Equipment? Eddie asked. You mean mops? Throck said slowly. Yes. Mops, buckets, cleaning solution. Basics first. Can't fight like a janitor without knowing how to clean like one. On cue, a service droid wheeled in a cart loaded with cleaning supplies. The Caldrath stared as if sacred relics had arrived. Eddie demonstrated proper posture, showing how to keep the back straight to avoid injury. He walked them through efficient sweeping motions, how to cover maximum floor space with minimal effort. Every movement mirrored the way he had dodged punches and flips the day before. Core rotation. Eddie called. Engage your whole body, not just your arms. Otherwise, you get tired, cut corners, and the floor stays dirty. And that is unacceptable. The warriors mimicked him awkwardly at first. Massive frames wobbled. Some looked like they were fighting the mop rather than using it. But gradually, fluidity emerged. Throck groaned. This is exhausting. 1 hour of mopping. Yes, Eddie said, smiling. And tomorrow, squeegee drills. That's where it gets really interesting. Vex, veteran guard, raised a hand. Instructor, Eddie, how does this apply to combat? I understand efficiency, but when do we actually strike? Eddie shrugged. It's the same as yesterday. Awareness, positioning, efficiency. Combat is movement. Swing a mop or a punch. Principles are identical. Balance, leverage, timing. Your body knows what to do if you've practiced enough. The guards watched as he moved across the floor, each motion smooth, deliberate, natural. Muscle memory took over. Every step and twist honed instinct, just like in combat. GRA, silent until now, laughed, a deep booming sound shaking the bay. Brilliant. Our ancestors trained this way. Daily work was practice. You have returned us to the roots of mastery. Eddie froze. Wait, that's what I'm doing. Yes, Draxter said, nodding. By mastering the basics, you achieved victory yesterday. Not through strength or speed, but through mastery of movement. Vrather, watching from the observation deck, shook his head. I don't understand humans, but maybe I don't need to. Just minimize property damage, please. By the end of the session, the warriors were sweating, exhausted, but moving with precision, awareness, and coordination they had never had before. Eddie had turned mopping into combat training, and it worked out. He looked around at the guards, smiling. Okay, great work, everyone. Same time tomorrow. And remember, the mop is your friend, not your enemy. Vrather shook his head, smiling faintly despite himself. This chaotic, impossible human had done the unthinkable, brought the entire galactic peacekeeping station together, improved warrior performance, and made cleaning heroic all at once. Eddie waved from the floor. Hey, Commander, don't worry, I got this corner. Vrather waved back. Somehow, he didn't mind the chaos. Not this time.